Racing Podcast coming to you today with an oddball choice of viewership from today's show. We are coming live from my cell phone. I hope you guys can hear me. I'm putting a message in the chat version of the computer. I'm currently typing up a message, hoping you guys will join me real quick, so just bear with me. We are here for the ARCA Racing Podcast Daytona preview show. Again, I do apologize. Bear with me for 1 second. So, yeah, hopefully the people who are on my other stream trying to find that will make their way here. I don't know why my computer won't work. So, again, I do apologize for the trouble. But this is the ARC Racing Podcast Daytona preview show. I'm your host, Colby Evans, a.k.a. Starting Park Car. And yes, it is the first main points event for the main series ARCA division in 2025. Daytona, man, it's the big animal. I'm really kind of disappointed I'm not going to be there this year. Unfortunately, the travel issues just didn't come together the way I thought they would. And I was just forced to... you can't make them all. That famous quote, you can't make them all, and, you got to live to fight another day. Well, that was just kind of me with Daytona this year. So, like I said, disappointed, but you know what? Sometimes it's good to watch it all on TV instead of be there in person, especially, with the Daytona. You know what kind of temperatures it's going to bring. You don't know what kind of weather it's going to bring. And, well, I was there last year, and, we were there for over 24 hours. So, like I said, it can definitely be different. So, sorry guys again for everyone who's tuned in, who may think this is a different setup. We are going live on my cell phone right now because my computer decided not to work. So yes, this is a little bit of different viewing. Like I said, we're vertical now instead of usually like this. So again, I do apologize for the trouble, but I thank all of you guys who are still there in the chat right now. You guys obviously know who I am, Colby Evans, Starting Park Car. Like and subscribe to the channel. You guys have heard all this 1,000 times before for the long-term viewers. And for the new viewers, I promise you, it's not like this every week. For the new viewers of the ARCA Racing Podcast, it is not like this every week. So I apologize greatly. But I thank you all for coming here anyway. And I hope you guys enjoy tonight's podcast, next week's podcast, and all the podcasts that we are going to have on the channel this year for ARCA and NASCAR. So, Daytona National Speedway, man, let's get right into it, shall we? The entry list. Last year, guys, we had 50 cars. An unbelievable field of cars for last year's race. This year, man, a little bit less, but we're still kicking ass. 47 cars, man. So, and I think for ARCA, that is just... Think about that. So many people had written this series off. And, man, we came back cooking. 2023, man, we had 40 cars show up. One was forced to withdraw because, Andres Perez de Lara was too young. 2024, we had 50. This year, 47, man. And the only real reason why we had 47 is because a couple of teams combined their points. We will go over it eventually, the points transfers. But a couple of teams did combine their points with other teams, and that is why we did see a few less cars. We probably would have had close to 50 cars, maybe even more than 50 cars, had nobody changed up their points or merged numbers for this specific event to give themselves a better chance at making the show. So, but let's start off right now with the entry list. I'm going to go off car by car, so bear with me, guys. This is 47 entries. So it is going to take me a second, but we're going to go through the entries right now. So we're going to start off with the 0 of Brayton Laster. Now, Brayton Laster is scheduled to do the entire season for Peterson Motorsports. However, in a second, we will go over why he is in the 0 and not the 06 primary entry. But he is in the 0 car for Peterson. This is a Peterson entry. The 06 car will be out of fast track racing using Peterson's points. We have Big Willie Mullins back in the 3. Always great to see Willie at these events. Quarterman Dale Quarterly in the 4. LeVar Scott in the 6. Eric Caudell in the 7. Sean Corr in the 8. Jason White in the 9. I remember Jason White nearly won this race in 2023. Ed Pampa in the 10, Cody Dennison in the 11. Takuma Koga is back. He is in the 12 car. He failed to make this race last year, but with the owner's points, should have no problem making this year's event. I'm going to probably botch this name, so I apologize in advance. Chase Pinsunialt. Again, apologize if I butchered the name, but he'll be in the 15 for Venturini Motorsports. The 18 of William Sawalich. Again, of course, he's running full-time Xfinity, but I'm assuming he had to run this race to help with his approval. And probably just to get some more super speedway experience in general. Lawless Allen, going from trucks back to ARCA. He's driving full-time for Venturini in the 20. Nick White in the 22. That is a Mike Harmon entry, I believe. Owned by Drew, or merger between him and Drew White, because I know Mike Harmon's working on it. Catherine Legg in the 23 for the Joe Ferre Sigma team. Jake Finch in the 25 for Venturini. The 27 of Tim Richmond. The 28 of Butterbean Brendan Queen. So good to see Brendan Queen back in ARCA once again. I said back in ARCA once again. Yes, because Brendan Queen actually ran this race years ago. For people who might not know this, he actually ran for Vision Motorsports. How many of y'all remember Vision Motorsports? Yeah, so he ran the race. I think it was 2019 or 2020. He ran the race for Vision Motorsports. So Brendan's actually ran Daytona before. So it's actually kind of interesting. Kyle Steckley in the 29 and Garrett Mitchell, Cletus McFarland in the 30. So we have two cars coming out of the Mark Rhett Jones stable. Kyle Steckley in the 29 and Cletus McFarland himself, Garrett Mitchell in the 30 car. So that's pretty freaking cool. Although it lists Tim Goulet in the 31, Tim Viennes will be the driver of that car. Ryan Huff in the 36, Thad Moffitt in the 46 for Nitro, the new Nitro Motorsports team. Good old Brad Smith in the 48. Robert Martin of Martin Racing, brand new team. Jeff Spraker is the crew chief, so it looks like he's helping out that operation. I believe they are running a former Venturini car. Isabella Robusto, obviously one of the other full-time drivers in the series, running the 55 for Venturini. Hunter DeChantel, one of the two FDNY entries, or I guess brother-in-law motorsports entries, because technically the two teams have different names. Steve Lewis Jr. in the 62, Ryan Roulette in the 67, Scott Melton in the 68, Nolan Wilson in the 69, Amber Balkin in the 70, Annie Jankowiak in the 73, the 75 of Brian Dowsett, the second brother-in-law motorsports entry. Cole Raz in the 76. The AM Racing team has switched their number from 32 to 76. No clear announcement if Cole Raz was full-time, although fingers crossed that he is because the guy's got a lot of talent. Corey Day in the 77. Yes, Spire Motorsports is now in ARCA. They are everywhere now, which is great to see because that team, the more times you can see a team expanding like that, the better. Elio Castro Neves in a second car for Pinnacle Racing Group, the 82. Becca Monopoly in the 86. That is a combo entry. They are using Alex Club's number 86, but the car and the team is City Garage Motorsports. They are simply just using Alex's number for a better chance at making the race. The 87 of Chuck Buchanan Jr., the 88 of A.J. Moyer, 93 of Caleb Costner, 97 of Jason Kitzmiller, who was actually recently announced as a full-time driver. Yes, Jason Kitzmiller will be going for the ARCA Menard Series Championship with, I think they said Frank Kimmel as crew chief, so that's pretty cool. Michael Maples in the 99, Craig Bracken in the 02 for Young's Motorsports. Good to see Young's Motorsports still continuing their ARCA program. Alex Clubb, of course, in the 03. Bryce Hogberg, of course, we mentioned him earlier. That is a Fast Track Racing entry using Wayne Peterson's number. The 07 of, and finally, the 07 of Jeff Scottfield. So a pretty stacked field of entries. In terms of cars and engine ratios, I believe we only have a handful, if maybe two or three cars that are using non-Ilmor engines. I believe it is just the 48 and the 0 will be the only two cars in the field that will not be running Ilmor engines. Now, obviously, the non-M4 engines have horsepower penalties, bigger plates on them, so they have a way, way, way less horsepower, and have no chance of keeping up. But they're in the race if it rains, so that's why they're going. And of course, Brad has his provisional, and Braden's probably just hoping it rains. But yeah, the points transfers are as follows. I wanted to talk about that too. Joseph Schragley from Toby Christie was kind enough to paste them out pretty clearly right here. And these are as follows. So the number 2 Rev Racing points are being transferred to the number 6 Rev Racing car. The number 6 Rev Racing points are being transferred to the number 28 team, Pinnacle Racing Group. The number 15 points from Venturini are being transferred to the 25 team, Venturini. The 25 Venturini points are being transferred to the 46 operation. Let's switch the camera over here a little bit so I can actually read this all. The 32 AM Racing points have been switched over to the number 76, obviously a new number. The 22 Venturini Motorsports points have been switched over to the number 23 Sigma team. The number 99 Fast Track Racing points have been switched over to the 9 Fast Track Racing points, as Fast Track has simply just dropped one of the 9s and continued 9. Hang on a second. Can you give me my charger out of my room?
Phone charger?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
Sorry, guys. My phone's about to die here, so I had to ask one of my family members who was walking by if he could get my charger for me. Where did we leave off? All right, Greg Van Alst. That team sold their points to the 99 of Maples Motorsports. That team actually bought the majority of the Greg Van Alst Motorsports equipment. So it's not shocking that they also got the owner points involved with that. Thank you, bud.
Hell yeah.
Thanks, man. All right, and so where we leave off? Okay, so the number 28 Pinnacle Racing Group, they then transferred their owner points to their team car, the number 82. The 17 Cook Racing Technologies transferred their owner points to the number 77 for Spire. The 33 team, Rayom Brothers Racing Team, transferred their points to the 3 team of Willie Mullins. The 82 Pinnacle Racing Team transferred their points to the number 30 for Cletus McFarland. The 23 Sigma team transferred their owner points to the 24 Sigma car. The 34 Greg Van Alst team transferred their owner points to the 67 Maples car. Again, obviously it makes sense because the Maples team again bought out the Van Alst equipment, so it makes sense that they would get the owner's points. The McClure Racing 44 car points will go to the number 70 for Amber Balkin. The number 30 original points for Rhett Jones Racing will go to the second car 29. The 42 Cook Racing Technology points will go to the 02 for Youngs. The number 9 Rev team will be moved over to the number 2 Rev points. The number 3 Willie Mullins points will be switched over to the 33, so they just kind of did a switch from earlier. The 02 Youngs points will go to the 42, and the number 24 Sigma points will go to the 22 of Venturini. So, yeah, that was a lot to list there. Oh, Gabe Wood's going to be fueling for Daytona. That's awesome. He'll be fueling the 11. Good for you, Gabe. I wish I could have seen you down there in Daytona this year, buddy. But glad to know you're still doing stuff for Andy. Gabe in the chat, guys, if you don't know, he actually worked for Andy Hillenberg for a long, long time. He's Gabe Wood on Twitter, if you don't know. Go give him a follow. He's a fun guy. But yeah, he worked for Andy Hillenberg for a long time. Yeah, we can't leave the ARCA family. I agree with you there, bud. But yeah, so those are the points transfers, and now you ask yourself, well, why are people transferring all these points? Well, ARCA's got group qualifying. They can't do single car qualifying for reasons I unfortunately can't get into, because there's a lot of weird reasons behind the scenes why, and last time I talked to some of the PR directors, they don't want me talking about that on the show. But there's just reasons why they can't do single car qualifying. Trust me, guys, if they could do single car qualifying, they would. They would. I've been told by many people in the garage, if they could, they would. They just can't. So I hate it just as much as you do. But so yeah, we have group qualifying, and we saw last year the number 28 car failed to qualify. Shane Van Gisberen, he failed to qualify. So a high-profile car can miss this race. I believe the highest DNQ last year was 21st in owner's points. I believe that was the 0-1 of Takuma Koga. That car DNQ'd despite being 21st in points. So, nobody's safe. If you're outside the top 20, I would say you're not safe. If you're outside of the top 25, you're definitely not safe. You have to be in that fastest 32, and that is also another new change. They changed the amount of cars that are in on speed. Last year it was 30. Last year it was 34 cars, and this year it is 32 cars. Sorry, guys, I'm going to get my phone plugged in here real quick. Sorry, my phone was about to die, and I don't want to die on y'all. Yeah, so sorry. Sorry. Yeah, exactly. Like what Gabe said in the chat. And also what happens in group qualifying is, and this is actually what happened to the 28 last year, I believe the 28 was just left out. I don't know if they didn't get going quick enough or Shane was just shuffled out of the draft, but everyone makes plans to group with each other. And then stuff goes wrong. People try to make moves and people can miss the race. So obviously, people make these points transfers to try to give themselves a better chance at making the show. Because the 4 provisionals, there's 8 provisionals, 4 go to the Golden A teams, and then 4 go to the fastest qualifiers. Now, if all Golden A teams make the show, I believe, I believe it's either the next 4 in owner's points or the next 4 qualifiers, if I'm correct on that. But either way, for a lot of these guys and gals, the goal is definitely going to be in that top 30, top 32, not having to worry about a provisional. But the problem is the groups are a random draw, I believe, or random draw. Nobody gets to pick what group they're in. So you could have 2 good cars and maybe some not so good cars. You could have a group that's all good cars. You don't know. So, for some of these people, you just got to make the best of a situation, get with the group of cars that you're in, and, make a plan. But like Gabe says, who's been in ARCA for many years, not many people like to stick with those plans. Some people want to lead, even though it's just qualifying. Some people think their car. Some people think that their car should be out front leading. So yeah. ARCA qualifying in a nutshell is its own animal. Trust me, guys, I agree. If we could get back to single car qualifying, it would make life so much easier. But obviously, it is out of our control. I'm trying to look up the provisionals list because I forgot one of our great followers. His name is David Pequeen. Go give him a follow if you guys can on Twitter. Trying to find his name on here. Yeah, here it is. David Pequeen. It's at car SDS2078. Go give him a follow. He's really good. He's a photographer #1, and he has great provisional graphics. So we are looking at it right here, the provisional graphics for the ARCA race at Daytona. And right now, the cars that have complete go or go home, they are not in the top 40 at all. So this is like worst case scenario. Especially if it rains out. The 62 of Steve Lewis, 36 of Ryan Huff, 87 of Chuck Buchanan, 07 of Jeff Scottfield, the 15 of Chase Pensanealt. Yes, Venturini sold their points. The 15 car has no points. The 22 of Nick White and the 52 of Robert Martin are complete go or go homers. They have absolutely nothing to fall back on. So, yeah, how about that? A Venturini car is actually on the go or go home list, but let's face it, the Venturini cars are practically the most streamlined cars in the field. I'll be shocked if that car goes home. That car could probably make the race driving around by itself, personally. But yeah, the cars that are locked in by points and locked in by the Golden A plan, the 18, the 20, the 6, the 55, the 28, the 25, 46, and 76 are locked in by their points and Golden A status, which means the next cars to get that would get in on the Golden A if they did not qualify in on the top 32 would be the 23, the 11, the 9, the 12, the 10, the 03, 06, 30, 06, and the 31. So those would be the next cars to get in based off of their Golden A plan. Now, I do expect also quite a few of those cars to actually still make it in on speed. So it's just going to be so interesting. But there is a very real possibility. You know, we saw it last year with Shane. There is a possibility. You know, Elio's car, he's 19th. There is a possibility he could miss it. You know, I hate to say it, but for Cletus McFarland, he could miss it. His car is down in 27th. You know, Amber Balkin is 30th. She could miss it. I mean, we all love Dale Quarterly. He could miss it. You know, we don't know. It all kind of comes down to the groups. You know, the 77 for Spire, where are they at? 21st? You know, they could still miss it. You just don't know. You don't know how these groups are going to go. You don't know who's going to get a good lap. You don't know who's going to get a bad lap. Like people have said, you don't know if you're going to get a bad group or you're going to get a group of cars that are for some reason racing each other despite it being qualifying, and you really shouldn't be racing each other in qualifying. It should just be in a nice single file line. So I don't know, man. ARCA qualifying is its own, and we got Cody Dennison now in the chat. He's driving the number 11 car for Fast Track Racing, so good to have you in the chat, Cody. And yeah, that's right. If the leader of the draft takes off and messes up the first 2 laps, everyone in the group is boned. I agree. So that's the problem. It also kind of depends on who's that lead car and are they going to play nice. I don't know, man. I don't know. And look at that. We got Gabe and Cody in the chat, making friends with each other. Oh, that's great. Oh, come on, Cody. Gabe does not mess up. All right. I know Gabe. He doesn't mess up. Yeah, don't yell at Gabe. The kind of stuff that happens here in the ARCA chat, guys. Yeah, but that's kind of like I said, the Daytona bug. We did actually get a sponsor for this year's race, which I'm really happy about. Last year, we did not get a sponsor. Fuel in the window net, got it. That's funny. Last year, we did not get a sponsor for this race last year, which made me kind of sad. But this year, we did. Ride the Dente, or the Dente 200. I think that's how you pronounce it. But either way, we have a sponsor. It's I think it's something to do with Chili's. But either way, just the fact that we have a sponsor for the race, that is a thumbs up. Absolutely right there. This race does follow similar schedules from the past. Practice on Thursday, qualifying on Friday, and the race on Saturday. Now, unfortunately, like usual, practice or qualifying are not televised, which honestly, ARCA qualifying should be televised. That'd be a hell of a show to watch on TV. But yeah, practice is, I believe, from 4 o'clock to 4 to 5 o'clock on Thursday, and then ARCA qualifying is, let's see here, 1:30 to 2:15 on Friday, and then the race itself on Saturday is at noon. So that is your schedule. What's my 7? Oh, God, I tell you. I wasn't actually honestly going to give DNQ picks. I don't know if I even gave them last year. This race is such an animal, and, you see people like the 28 car missing last year. I just don't know. Like, we could really see a high-budget car miss the race, and we could see, a low-budget team that nobody gave a chance to make the race get in on speed. So, I know you want me to make DNQ picks, Cody, but I'm just going to sit this one out. All right, I know you want me to say it, but I'm just going to sit this one out because I don't think I'm going to be right at all. Probably the only one I will say is probably Brayton Laster, mainly because of his engine. He's running I believe he's running the SB2, so he's not running an Ilmore. That's probably it. What's going to screw it is a complete crap wagon getting in on a provisional. Yeah, unfortunately, I did. Yeah. So, yeah. So, this is the only ones my low IQ can think of. So, Cody Dennison in the chat right here, his DNQs are AJ Moyer, Brian Dowsett, Ryan Roulette, Hunter DeChantel, Brayton Laster, Chuck Buchanan, and Nick Whites. I mean, hey, honestly, I think that's a fair list. But, at the same time, Brian's a great drafter. Ryan Roulette's, I think he made the show on time last year. So I wouldn't say that's accurate. I mean, again, like you said, we just don't know. We don't know. I don't know. So I'm just going to lay no judgment on DNQs this year. I think you could probably point some cars that are going to have some trouble on making the race, sure. But, yeah, just going off of test times and random thoughts. And you're right. You can go off test times. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's going to be so interesting for sure. But I do want to also talk about the full-time drivers this year. What is a very welcome sight is to see more full-time drivers running for the championship this year. Currently, right now, we have Jason Kitzmiller, Michael Maples, Brendan Queen, LeVar Scott, Lawless Allen, Isabella Robusto, Brayton Laster, Brad Smith. Now, it says that Thad Moffitt is on the full-time list on Wikipedia, but I'm not sure if that was actually confirmed. If the 46 of Thad Moffitt for Nitro Motorsports was full-time. So we'll have to check on that one, but either way, a decent amount of full-time drivers. And that's what I love to see because, let's face it, in 2021, we gave the championship to Ty Gibbs mostly. Corey Heim put up a good fight, but he pretty much had it. 2022 really had a great championship battle between Daniel Dye and Nick Sanchez. 2023 was a walkout win for Jesse Love, and 2024 was pretty much a walkout win. For oh God, who even won the championship last year? My brain just went weird. Oh yeah, Andres Perez de Lara. My brain just went weird for a second. But yeah, just really great to see more championship contenders this season. And that's always a bonus. Brendan, Kitzmiller, if he's putting in the money for a full season, I wouldn't be shocked to see him step it up. So you got Kitzmiller, Queen, LeVar Scott, Lawless Allen, Isabella Robusto. I mean, that is 5 very, very solid championship contenders. And yes, I am lumping Kitzmiller in there because he did get better. And I think with a full season going after the title with Frank Kimmel as crew chief, I would say they're an underrated title contender for sure. Now, of course, the 18 car is going the full season, but once again, with not a full driver. Max Reeves, Gio Ruggiero, Brent Cruz, and William Sawalich will be making up that car this season. Rev Racing is not running 2 cars full-time. You guys may have noticed I did not say that on the entry list, the number 2 car. That car, I believe, will be part-time, though. We'll still be running some races, but not full-time. The 70 car for Nitro, that will not be a full-time car. Amber is expected to run a part-time season. Fast Track Racing, I believe they will have four full-time cars in the main division again. I think it's the 9, 10, 11, and 12 are the 4 full-time Fast Track numbers. For various drivers, they do not have a full-time driver in the main series. I don't believe so. We know Brad's full-time, but obviously he's not a championship contender. I mean, I guess you never know, but still. The part-time list, obviously, is very huge on the ARCA Menard Series Wikipedia page. Obviously, too much for me to go through. We do know that Venturini will likely be fielding four, I think 3 or 4 full-time cars for sure. We know Klaas Motorsports with Andy J is going to do a good amount of races. I am hoping that Cletus McFarland is not just a one-race deal. Having Cletus in the show and having Cletus do more than one race with ARCA is good for the series. So I really hope Cletus runs Talladega and maybe like Charlotte for sure. Hopefully AM Racing is full-time ARCA with Cole Raz because he's a good kid. He's a good kid, and I would love to see him go after the championship. I do believe Alex Clubb's team will be full-time, just not a full-time. I don't know if Alex is going to go the whole season. I mean, I know Brendan Queen, if he doesn't win the championship, yeah, I know, but I mean, Isabella and Lawless are going to be, I believe, hard to beat. But yeah, the part-time list is kind of all over the place. And, you know, for a lot of these ARCA teams, we just don't really get the gist of what they're doing. We don't really get the gist of what they're doing until maybe a couple of races into the season because a lot of these teams, they just don't have the substantial funding to know really what their plans are until sometimes they get a race or two into the season. And then it's kind of been that way for many, many years. You have very few teams in the series. I don't think people really realize it, but you really don't have that many teams who know exactly what their plans are going to be for the whole season. It doesn't really work that way in the ARCA series. Maybe 25% of the garage knows exactly what their yearly plans are. And the rest of the season for everyone else is just kind of on the fly. And it's kind of been that way in the ARCA series for quite some time. People just don't really realize that. But yeah, so yeah, I know Alex Clubb is running for mayor. If you guys didn't know that, Alex Clubb is actually running for mayor in his home state of Illinois. So yeah, think about that. I don't know if you guys saw that, but yeah, a big field of cars. Big field of cars nonetheless. Hopefully we don't run this race at 1:30 in the morning last year. For the people who don't know, I did work with Alex Clubb in that race last year. It's a little bit of story time real quick. I did work that race for Alex Clubb, and I'm not going to lie, probably one of the more crowning achievements of my life is fueling a race car at Daytona National Speedway at 12:30 in the morning. That was quite the sight, guys. And then dumping fuel all over myself and getting burned. Oh, God. Newsflash, people. NASCAR fuel burns. Bad. Oh, that burnt really bad. But, that's why we wear fire suits. Thank God I really didn't have much for scars. Thank God for fire suits, man. But yeah, fueling a race car at Daytona for Alex last year was pretty awesome. And I'm glad to have I'll be posting a photo of that on my Twitter probably in the next couple of days of a memory, but it's just, that was one of the more fun things I ever did. And I'll put it like this. We got to the track on Friday at 7:30 in the morning. We left the track Saturday at 5:30 in the morning. Arguably the longest time I have ever spent. The longest time I have ever spent at a racetrack. I loved it. It was a very fun day. I'm glad I was able to be a part of it. I was half dead. Actually, I was pretty much 75% dead by the time we left the racetrack. Like, man, I had nothing left in me. I had tracked over 22,000 steps in one day. 22,000 steps in one day. I had gone through probably 20 Gatorades. I was out. That was a long day, but I'm glad I was able to be a part of it. I love this business, man. I love the racing business. No matter how much it kills me every time. Oh, it's great. Oh, it's great. So, oh boy. Oh, God, why do I do it? Why do I do this voluntarily, man? And yes, I do all this voluntarily. I don't know why. I just do. I love this business. Yeah, the 2022 Xfinity race at Daytona. You were there for that one, Gabe. I can only Imagine how much fun that was. I remember watching it. Yes, yes. I ask myself that all the time. Yes, I know. Oh, boy. But anyway, guys, it's going to be a fun weekend of racing. We're going to be doing I believe we're going to be doing some other podcasts this week. We're not done yet. Hang on with me for 1 second because I do have some cool announcements. Yeah, could have been a doctor. I don't know about that. But I did want to announce I did get my drug test done with ARCA, and I will be competing in the series this year on the ARCA Menard series. Part-time basis. I don't know which tracks yet. We're finalizing some deals with some sponsors. But I'm determined to get on track this year. Obviously, plans with my vintage car, cup car as well. So we plan to do it all this year. Make some ARC starts. Hopefully get on track with the vintage car. And do some old school driver interviews. I am happy to announce that we are returning to this podcast with some interviews with some pretty neat drivers from the past. I've really tried my hardest to track down some drivers from the past and get them on the show and talk about their careers. And I'm proud to announce we have quite a few drivers. Well, not quite a few, but some decent amount of drivers. I'm going to send you some tips on working on a road course car. Yes, I need it, please. I kind of need it, trust me. But I'm proud to announce some of the guests on my show. You guys might remember Dickie Williamson. He is a former ARCA driver from the past. He last made a start in 2009. So we're going to have Dickie Williamson on the show. We are going to have Mark Stahl. Yes, that Mark Stahl, the guy who brought Hooters into NASCAR in, I believe, the late 80s or early 1990s. We are going to have Mark Stahl on the show. That's going to be a fun one. Roger Blackstock, the guy who ran Dodge, the Mopar, in the 1990s. He will be on the show as well. So, and arguably, we're going to have, well, I would love to have Wayne Peterson on the show, but I'm not sure how he'd call in. Wayne's still got a flip phone. And my favorite one, I shouldn't say this because they're all my favorite ones, but guys, arguably, in my personal opinion, the best female racing driver, we got Shauna Robinson, everyone. Shauna Robinson is going to be on the podcast, and I tell you, I am really excited for that one. Mark Stahl, Shauna Robinson, Dickie Williamson, Roger Blackstock. I think I'm forgetting. Oh, AJ Henriksen. We're also going to have AJ Henriksen on the show. And then a few other people I'm talking to right now that I can't say are confirmed, but we are talking right now. So I'm really glad to be saying we're going to get some of those people on the show. Some old school ARCA stories. I really cannot wait to get Mark Stahl on. I want to hear how he got Hooters into the sport. So yeah, if you love old school drivers, man, we're gonna get some on the show and we're gonna have some fun. So, oh boy, well, I feel like I've taken up enough of your guys' time tonight. I do apologize for all the trouble I have put you all through tonight because for the people again who do not know, we're going live on my cell phone right now, and for some reason my computer decided not to work, so I was doing pretty much all of this on the fly. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. The most people at one point we had tonight, we had almost 45 live tonight at one point, which is a record, which I wish we could have just done this on the computer. It would have made it 15 times easier, but you guys are the best fans. You guys have been supporting me thick and thin, and hope to be on track this season at some point. And just again, subscribe to the channel. We got so much fun content coming to the channel this season. And enjoy Daytona, guys. It's going to be a fun week of racing. Hopefully the weather holds off, but it's Daytona, so you never know. So anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in. Like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on that bell for notifications. To all drivers and crew members who are watching this podcast and are going to be in Daytona, good luck, have fun, and be safe. And everyone else, have a great rest of your night. So long. Goodbye, salute. We'll see you all next week for the ARCA Racing Podcast review show. Goodbye.